the Chinese Education Ministry to show caution for Chinese students coming to Australia. Is this symbolism, or does it reflect an ongoing keenness to punish Australia for, the various positions that the Chinese Communist Party has been critical of in recent times, not the least of which I think is Huawei, which is central to a lot of this?
Well, Kieran, I'd say both of the above. At the moment, it's symbolism because our borders are closed, so no international student can come to Australia anyway. But on the other hand, for Beijing to go out of its way to make the announcement now, I do think we have to interpret that as a deliberate signal to Australia that they are still of a mind to keep punishing us for our various sins, real and alleged. It is, of course, a ridiculous joke to suggest that Chinese Australians are subject to, a large danger of racial abuse. I mean, Australia is not a nation in which there is a strong danger of racial abuse or racist incidents or anything else. And certainly for the Communist Party of China, with 1 million Uyghurs in detention for the crime of being Uyghurs, to be lecturing other countries about racism is a kind of a sick joke. But I think getting beyond the rhetoric of it, this is a calculated, cold move by Beijing to continue its campaign of intimidation against Australia and to get Australia to, to misuse that phrase, bend the knee to China. Now, these campaigns in the past, they kind of run along until China gets sick of them and then they stop. So they just stop 1 minute. But Beijing is in a more aggressive mood than it's been for a long time. And there's no sign yet that this campaign is ending, although it hasn't taken, huge escalation steps just lately either.
COVID-19 is in retreat in this country. We hope that continues, but it seems it's got a long way to run internationally, doesn't it?
It sure does, Kieran. You're absolutely right. The terrible business of George Floyd's death has taken our attention away from COVID-19. We've done brilliantly well in this country and we should get our economy going again as soon as we can. But internationally, COVID-19 is still on the advance. There's now just under 7.5 million cases worldwide. There are well over 400,000 deaths that we know of, although that's almost certainly a very big underestimate in nations like Russia and Indonesia and India. The virus is on the march in South Asia. It's on the march in Latin America. Some countries like Iran are seeing a very big second spike. There's no guarantee that you're not going to get a new second spike in Europe and in the United States. It'll be fascinating to see whether these mass demonstrations produce that kind of spike in the United States. So the implications for us are twofold, I think. One is we have to still be very, very careful because it can get away from us easily, just as the Singaporeans thought they had it under control and the South Koreans, and it ran away from them in its second incarnation. And the second implication is we're not going to be opening our borders, I think, for a very long time. We're going to have very restricted international travel. I mean, when we're as good as the New Zealanders, we might have a trans-Tasman bubble. We might have a Western Pacific bubble with a few other South Pacific nations. I think even allowing people from countries which seem to have it under control, like Taiwan, I think that's going to be quite a long distance away. And getting back to our old, position where we earn $20 or $30 billion from tourism and higher education, I think that's probably 12 or 18 months away, if then.
Greg Sheridan, thank you as always. We'll talk to you next week.